is the purpose of dogma? What is the purpose of having people believe Jesus died for your sins? What is the purpose of having people believe Muhammad was the last prophet? And I respect both religions, don't get me wrong. I was raised in both of them.
Control.
I'll pray in the masjid, I'll pray in the church. Control.
Yeah, control.
It's mind control. Whenever a Negro pops up claiming to be sent by God, you know you're dealing with a hustler.
Yeah.
You know you're dealing with a hustler. I don't give a damn who it is. Control. I don't care how long ago they lived.
No exception.
Any black person who has ever come to the black community claiming to be sent by God was a hustler. And one of the reasons why I have so much respect for people like the Honorable Frederick Douglass and the Honorable Marcus Garvey is because neither one of them sought to exploit the religious weaknesses of black people for personal gain. Garvey is the only leader post-slavery to build a mass movement, and he did not have to exploit any religion to do it. Everybody else exploited religion in order to do what? Control the mind of black people, mostly for money.
All right. That was nice. That was good.
Oh, and real quick on the spirituality tip, and again, much respect to the Muslims and Christians, because as a Pan-Africanist, we don't believe in dictating your spiritual beliefs. We believe in freedom of religious worship. Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, was a Christian. El Hajj Malik El Shabazz Malcolm X was a Muslim. J. Rabbi Arnold Ford, who was the music director for the Honorable Marcus Garvey, he was a Hebrew. But they were all Pan-Africanists. So we believe in freedom of religion. I don't care what you pray to. I don't care how you pray, as long as you ain't got a snow bunny Christ. Now, if you got a snow bunny Christ, then we got to have a conversation, because you're pushing white supremacy through imagery. You understand me? But you can pray to the trash can, pray to the floor, pray to the rats and the roaches. I don't give a damn how you pray. I don't care how you eat. I'm only concerned with how you think. The revolutionary is concerned with how you think. As black people, we get caught up in things that are totally irrelevant towards our emancipation. So what, you a Christian? So what, you a Muslim? Why does that stop me from working with you? Prayer ain't why we suffer. We suffer because we are African. And I believe until we inject the divinity of blackness back into black religion will never be useful for black people. Because we have allowed outsiders to force us to cut out the divinity of blackness from our religion. So when somebody says, what color is Jesus? You say it don't matter. Why don't it matter? If God made Jesus an African, if Jesus was blue, black, purple with a nappy head like mine, how can it not matter what his color was? But you go to any black church, the first thing they tell you, his color don't matter. If he was white, it would matter. If he was Chinese, it would matter. If he was a European Jew, it would matter. But because he was black, all of a sudden it don't matter. And by disqualifying your melanin from the religious equation, your religious equation loses all of its power. There's no divinity in any religion that does not honor the God chemical of melanin in African people, because it is the black skin of the African that contains the molecule that allows us to reach God consciousness. The blackness is the missing element in our religious worship.
All right, Umar. All right, I want to ask a question, right? We all kings and queens, right? We all from back, right? How comes every race is ahead of us right now? Like in infrastructure and wealth and...
Because you were deliberately held back. Colonization is still relevant today because it pigeonholed you and allowed every other group to get a head start over you. Slavery is still relevant today because it pigeonholed you and allowed every other group to get a head start. This is why when you talk about issues of inequality, disproportionality, racism, and bias, the U.S. government, the white power structure, never wants to bring up slavery. This is why they want slavery cut. Stop talking about slavery. You know why? Because if you really want to talk about the source of black-white inequality, you have to go to slavery.
Have to.
You want to talk about the source of police killings in the black community. You got to go back to the slave patrols, which were the original police, keeping Negroes on the plantation and making sure they didn't run away from it. That's the original police force. Every problem we have in America, every problem we have in the Caribbean, every problem we have in Africa, Central and South America, Canada, the UK, throughout Europe and Australia, originated in slavery and colonization. But the white man doesn't like to go beyond 50 years. If you notice, his conversations are always about what's happening now. He never ties it to history. Because if you tie your problems to history, he's the cause of all your problems. So they'll talk about brothers selling drugs. They'll talk about black men killing each other. But what about the fact that the Irish used to kill each other? The Jews used to kill each other. You understand me? The Italians used to kill each other until the white man did what? He gave the Jews the civil service government jobs in the city centers. He gave the Italians the fire departments in the city centers, black community, and he gave the Irish the police department. He gave them an economic stimulus package to come into our neighborhood and kick our ass and let our homes burn down and take all the government jobs. And that's how the Jews, the Irish, and the Italians was able to stop gang banging and live a decent middle-class white life. All we did was step into the underworld that the Jews, Irish, and Italians left us. And this is why people have to know their political history, because these white folks act like you caused them problems. Even with ghettos, the Federal Housing Authority created the ghettos. They created the damn ghettos. They gave white people loans to move out into the suburb. Poor white people were able to escape to the suburbs on an FHA loan. When you tried to get one, you wanted to go to the suburbs too. They told you, no, you ain't got the credit. You ain't qualified. So then you said, well, let me buy a piece of Miami. I want to buy a piece of Miami. I want to buy this abandoned home on my block. And do you know what they say? Unfortunately, we can't finance dilapidated property. So you're not going to let me, you're not going to help me get a home in the suburb, and you ain't going to let me own nothing in the ghetto. And this is how they protected the ghetto for gentrification. That's why when you look around America, black people are being pushed out their own neighborhood very easy. Because when white flight came to the inner cities, white people left, but they never absolved their control of the real estate. Most black people are squatters and renters, not owners. And the government deliberately kept it that way. So in the year 2000, when former President George W. Bush decided that this would be the century of gentrification, we couldn't even fight back against it because we didn't own anything. Every problem black people got was introduced by the white power structure, but it is our responsibility to solve it. Going back to your earlier question, education and economics. How do you begin to fix this? Education and economics. We are $2 trillion people. We're the richest group of blacks on earth in terms of income. Black America. 50 million of us, approximately, and we're the richest group of blacks in the world. But you can't show me a black Wall Street nowhere. There used to be a black Wall Street in Miami, as a matter of fact.
But you think
Liberty City.
You think the government will make that happen again?
It ain't up to the government. It's up to us. And one of the things I want black people to do is to stop involving the government in our solution. Because if you bring the government to the table, it's not a solution. From a strictly Marcus Garvey Pan-Africanist perspective, all solutions must be black controlled. If your enemy is required to participate in your solution,
it's dead. It ain't gonna work.
It's not a solution. And that's why when we talk about reparations,
I was just gonna ask about that.
I support reparations. But what I don't support is black people sitting around waiting for the government to write you a check while you continue to spend $2 billion on Air Jordans a year, $4 billion on liquor a year, $1 billion on McDonald's a year, $800 million on chicken, turkey, beef, and pork, $10 million on grits.
The grits.
So with that type of money, why we don't have a black Wall Street nowhere in black America? Right now. 50 million Africans, 50 states. 50 million Africans, 50 states. Nowhere in this country can you go, and I've been just about everywhere, where we own the bank, the school, the hospital, the supermarket. Supermarket to feed the people, bank to invest in the people, school to teach the people, and supermarket to feed the people.
All right, so okay, reparations, right? That's a fact. I like that. Reparations, right? You said it's not in money, you just said a while ago. What's a good way then we should get in payment or a good way that we could help ourselves in the long run, 100, 200, forever.
I'm not against reparations being on the restitution list. Excuse me, cash.
Oh.
If you want cash on the restitution list, put it on there. Don't make it the priority. In other words, it could be number 20. It can't be number 1. If money is the most important thing on your reparations list,
that shit dead wrong already.
It's dead wrong already because money runs out.
Yeah.
And the reason money can't be first is the benefit of our slavery to America will never expire. As long as there is in America, they benefited from your blood. It never runs out. You feel me?
Never.
So whatever you get in exchange for that should equally never expire. Money expires. And if they give every black person $1 million, they can inflate the cost of money tomorrow.
I like that.
And now your $1 million is worth $500,000.
Yeah,
in a week is worth $20,000.
I watched when you said that.
It's a trap.
I watched when you said that. Yep.
The white man, the government, is glad that black people are so thirsty for dollars. They love this shit. They love this ninja shit. They love it. Because they said, look at these thirsty niggas. They just want to buy some sneakers and some Gucci and some Louis. They're not thinking. Because guess what? Here's the question. If I give every black person in Miami $1 million, does that stop police brutality in Miami?
No.
That shit probably gonna go up.
Does that stop miseducation in Miami?
No.
Does that stop gentrification in Miami?
No.
No.
Nothing stops.
Now you might say, wait a minute, if I got $1 million, why doesn't that stop gentrification? I got $1 million. What's the cost of a nice house in Miami? I bet you it's more than $1 million.
Damn right.
So you're trusting. You see what I'm saying? So you're telling me 243 years of unpaid labor, the worst dehumanizing campaign in the history of man, the worst forced transmigration of a people ever in recorded history, and I can buy 2/3 of a house with it. That's my payment. 2/3 of a house. You see? So the point is, we have to look at what? Structural transformation. How do we change the structure of the economy? How do we change the structure of policing? How do we change the structure of educating? How do we change the structure of the society? Because if all they do is inject money, no problem has been solved. I'll give you an equivalent. Look at all the hundreds of millions of dollars they put in fair housing. Look at all the hundreds of millions of dollars they put in poverty. Look at all the hundreds of millions of dollars they put in police reform. Look at all the money they've already put on problem. Has any one of those problems been addressed yet?
All right, Dr. Umar, I got a next question right here that kind of puzzled me, right? I think like last year I was watching the news, or I seen it came on my phone or something. In California, is a family got some land stolen from them back in the days. I don't know if it's New Huntington Beach, one of them places in California, right? But the land got returned back to the family. How come so much stolen lands were stolen from other black families but never returned? And that family got their land back after all them years. What was so special about that family? I
just think they stuck with it. But the mistake that they made was they sold the land right back after they got it.
Yeah, they sold it back.
For real?
Yeah, they sold it back. I think for like $240.
For much less than what it's worth. Much less than what it's worth.
After they got it back last year?
They sold it back.
They sold it right back.
Yeah, they sold it right back.
It's all over the news.
See, Umar, niggas don't be one.
Ninjas,
but ninjas don't be one.
But you see how that? But you see that lady? You see the old lady that made them build the mall around her house?
Nah.
It's an old lady. I think she in Seattle. She had a house there from over 50 years. They was trying to pay her $1 million for her to knock her house down and move. She did not move.
Was she black?
It's a black lady.
Powerful.
It's a mall.
Powerful.
They built a mall around her house. Her house is right stuck in the middle.
Powerful.
And when she left,
she didn't leave yet. Right? She stood it.
No, when she died, she wrote the will to the guy that was coming to the house every day, and he left. And he left her like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna leave you there. I ain't gonna tell you, break it down. And when she was leaving, when she died, she gave the house to the guy, stranger.
Wow.
Yeah. But the question, you didn't answer my question though. You said they never gave up. They never gave up on the land.
Right. One of the things that should be included in our reparations package.
Yeah.
A return of all the land that was stolen.
Yeah.
So that means we have to put together a team of attorneys, a team of realtors, right, to investigate, to go and look back. There needs to be a tribunal. Any black person who even heard that they family lost land through theft or fear, right? There needs to be a tribunal, a research team, a research project to go and find all this land that was stolen, right? and then include all that land in the restitution package. Because if you give us back all the land that y'all stole, we probably don't need no more. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's how much land black people owned in this country. A lot of us were lynched because we owned more land than the white neighbors, you see. So we have to go and get all that land back. We definitely need it now because you got so many black people who can't afford mortgage, tax, or rent that are on the street. So we need them hundreds of thousands of acres now more than ever before because we're dealing with the highest black homelessness rate since the 60s.
Highest since the 60s?
Highest since the 60s because of gentrification. And this is why the black politician is such a disappointment. Black politicians from federal to state to local, they knew that white people were coming back to the ghetto. They knew it because city planning what? Dictates that you know 10 years beforehand that you coming to take Liberty City, Miami back. You know at least a decade, right? Yeah. Why didn't they tell us? I know you're cowards. I know you're not gonna fight. I know you in office to stack your pockets, not to save black people. But the least thing you could have did was say, listen, y'all, white folks coming to take Liberty City back.
Yeah, they coming.
Buy everything you can, pay off your taxes, don't sell, they coming. They didn't even give us a heads up that them devils was coming back to take our neighborhood. And that's why I don't respect black politicians. I only vote for a black politician if they are an independent candidate. If you are a Democrat, I will never vote for you. Republican, Green Party, I'm not voting. You know why? Because if you're not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent mind. You don't have an independent thought. You don't have independent goals, and you don't have independent money.
Yeah, you
see that? You are a slave. Yeah. You're going to do whatever Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden or Donald Trump tell you to do. And at this stage in our journey in this country, we cannot afford to still be getting suckered out by Negro slaves posing as community leaders. If you're not independent, I will not vote for you.
How you feel about Dwayne Wade and his kid and his son? Oh my.
I'm gonna say this, and I want to be respectful.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
All due respect to Dwayne Wade and his wife, what they did to his son was a spiritual tragedy. To allow a child to permanently transform his gender away from the masculine expression of the divine to the feminine, artificially feminine expression of the divine was an absolute tragedy of black consciousness and culture. My doctorate is in psychology. My specialty is children. What's the first thing they teach you in child development? Children don't know who they are. Children don't know what they want. A child hasn't made up their mind yet. A child is still searching. So if a child don't know who they are, how are you gonna let a 12-year-old tell you? I want to spend the rest of my life as a woman, and I know I want to do this at 12. That goes against white psychology. Forget African psychology. That goes against white psychology. But notice whenever the government has an agenda, they throw science out the window. They muzzle everybody on it, and they say, children can now decide if they want to be men or women while they're still children.